This video and others like it have been made possible and, more importantly, completely independent and sponsor-free thanks to my patrons on Patreon. Check it out in the link below if you'd like to support the channel. It is exhausting. With lunch, I had a can of Coca-Cola. Instead of enjoying the refreshing black fizz, I kept thinking, hey, didn't these guys use death squads in South America at one point? Enjoyment gone. Later in the day, I sat down to finally play through the COD Modern Warfare campaign. It was a fun little shoot-em-up game until I saw them take a literal American war crime in Iraq and casually blame it on the Russians.
There is only one road, Tariq al-Mulk, the highway of death. The Russians bombed it during the invasion.
The convoy was reported to be on the highway. Every plane available bombed the highway for 2 days straight. Pilots called the 3-mile-long stretch of charred bodies and vehicles the highway of death. Initial reports were of tremendous carnage. Thousands dead.
Enjoyment gone. My little cousin came over, played K-pop on the TV and started doing a little dancey dance. It was incredibly wholesome. Then I remembered that what we're watching are basically dancing slaves owned by massive record label conglomerates. Enjoyment gone. I went out for a nice dinner and a party, ordered veal, remembered I'm eating a literal baby. Enjoyment gone. Went clubbing afterwards. It was a decent rave. Went outside for some fresh air. Saw a homeless guy who could probably live off of what I just spent inside for 2 weeks. Enjoyment gone. Went hangover to work the next morning, but that's fine. I'm motivated by the great things we're doing for our clients and my chance to do my part. Remembered, I am only a tiny cog in a massive corporate machine which would replace me in a week in the case of my death. A corporate machine that pays me $50 for every 5,000 I make them. You guessed it. Enjoyment gone. Remembered, it was Valentine's Day on my way home. Passed through the mall and got a really nice perfume for my lady. Such a wonderful holiday. It's time to show our loved ones how much we care and surprise them with a nice gesture. My heart was warm until I remembered that it's nothing more than a global marketing campaign used to push us into visiting more restaurants, buying more shit, and spending outside of our capabilities. Only so that we can leech off of that one good thing we did that day for the coming few months whenever we exhibit toxic or narcissistic behavior. Yeah, enjoyment gone. You'd think going to bed would be a safe place. Oh, no. The second I close my eyes, I begin to ponder at the absolute meaninglessness which my life will, statistically speaking, eventually lead to. The incredible unfair nature of our socioeconomic structure, dread of death, despair, war, or worst of all, mediocrity. There's too much to be done. I can't just sleep now. I can't just...
Hey, what's going on?
There is no larger, permeating stereotype about the modern leftist than the idea that he is utterly incapable of enjoying anything. They're constantly seen as easily offendable, wildly over-analytical, snobby, pretentious, and, quote, inject politics into everything.
The gentle laborer shall no longer suffer.
They're apparently the reason we can't have anything nice anymore.
This is why we can't have nice things, you asshole!
Like big anime titties, skin-tight outfits in Mortal Kombat, or worst of all, leads in movies played by non-minorities.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. What?
Now, while it would be easy to dismiss these sorts of stereotypes as having come from the shallow minds of Reddit basement dwellers,
You walk now into the belly of the beast. I suspect that you've heard of me before.
which had spread like wildfire in the days of the dark YouTube ages of the 2016's anti-SJW craze, I sincerely doubt there is any self-conscious, politically left-leaning person out there who wouldn't, at least to an extent, admit that there is some truth to, well, this stereotype. I mean, come on, we can be pretty insufferable sometimes. I found myself explaining to a guy who just got broken up with how it's capitalism's fault as he was literally crying in front of me. I caught myself switching movies off midway because of an idiotic ahistorical depiction of some past event. Buying literally anything new makes me feel like a total schmuck because at the baseline of it all, I understand that I'm just doing it because I internalize this or that advertising campaign's image of a totally unnecessary product. But, and this is a big but, there is a massive difference between the self-critical view leftists have of themselves not being able to enjoy anything versus the one coming from the right or center of the so-called political spectrum. The key difference is why they can't enjoy things. One comes from a place of rage at the status quo, at the small and big injustices, while the other rises from a deeply insecure ego that tries to explain away why they, unlike these lefty snowflakes, somehow aren't able to see what the big fuss is about. A combination of massive privilege mixed with the classic, I went through shit, so you should too mentality. The right implies we can't enjoy anything because we're soft, because we overthink things, because we're easily offendable. The same ideological current that wants to ban TikTok because Chimbiling, CCP, Communist Lizard Chinaman, connect to Wi-Fi, very scary.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Bringing up softness and offendability is like the inbred kettle calling the pot the N-word. I like to argue the opposite. It's not weakness, but rage and anger that guides us. A rage towards an insufferable world we just can't seem to swallow and accept. An anger that builds up with every minute we have to spend pretending everything's all right.
One bad hamburger at McDonald's does not make McDonald's bad. What the fuck does that mean?
Anger, which just like in its physical form, unfortunately sometimes comes bursting out at the worst or most absurd of times. But it's not the anger that is the problem. Nah, I'm not your Zen teacher here. Go buy that somewhere else. The anger is bloody great. It's just misplaced. I don't know about you, but I've always had my fair share of anger issues. My nose was broken twice, and some of my fingers don't even close up completely from how many times I've mangled them against foreheads, noses, and doors. Even though nowadays I write that off as a stupid kid being a stupid kid, I also realize that many of those avoidable events came as consequences of pent-up anger expressing itself at the wrong time, at the wrong place. Pent-up anger which wasn't addressed properly until the bottled up pressure became so hard to handle that something as light as a butterfly's weight could drop it off a cliff. Well, most young and learning anti-status quo people, as I see them, are just that. Angry, confused, lost. Rightfully angry, confused, and lost. But with an unfortunate lack of vision on when punches should be thrown and when they shouldn't. While writing this, I said, okay, these are all great rhetorical arguments, but how about we make them a bit clearer to ourselves or anyone listening to this who might be on the fence regarding the is the left cringe for caring too much question. So let's just go through, 5 examples of shit leftists seemingly can't enjoy as much as other people and why. Let's get some logistics out of the way first, though. As you might know, I'm not the biggest fan of the term leftist, as it encompasses some ideological movements which are, to say the least, very incompatible.
No fighting. No fucking fighting. No fighting. No fucking fighting! Good. Get the fuck in.
But I ask you to stomach through this anti-sectarian utopian dream of mine for the length of this video, as it's both a wide enough and strict enough of a net to cast on the types of people I'll be talking about here. Okay, so here we go. 5 examples of shit leftists seemingly can't enjoy and why. Let's see if we can spot a pattern.
News! Talking about news! In the news today, doing it every way. News.
Why we can't enjoy the news. Usually, the way news works in the West is you pick a tribe and then you only watch the shit the people from your tribe show on TV. You foam at the mouth with a pitchfork in hand.
Can't be an angry
Then go online to complain about either the illiterate cousin-fucking rednecks or the college graduate cross-dressing pedophiles. To us, from the sideline, the true left, all this seems equally weird and entertaining, because we don't really have a news cycle backing anyone like us. Hell, our understanding of how privately owned media works makes most news completely indigestible to us.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
No matter how objective it tries to be, when news is a business, it will never cross certain boundaries. Boundaries like questioning the system or, God forbid, pitching an alternative to the status quo. So, put simply, we would love to join this little slapfest you call the discourse.
Kill Christ cucks, behead Christ cucks, roundhouse kick a Christ cuck into the concrete, slam dunk a Christ cuck baby into the trash can.
We need a military that's flat out hostile. We need a military full of type A men who want to sit on a throne of Chinese skulls.
But our understanding of just how much of a waste of time it is designed to make you not think about your real problems.
I hate the media!
Makes us understand it's not much more than just really, really bad TV.
I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons.
Why don't presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the war? Why don't presidents fight the war?
Why we can't enjoy national identity. Look, I'm as proud as any self-respecting Balkan boy of his culture. His 1,000-year-old heritage and the fact that we're basically the only white people who never enslaved anybody. But boy, oh boy, am I sometimes jealous of just how big of a part of your personality some of you make it. Two simple truths push most leftists away from nationalist fervor. Number one is class consciousness, understanding that you have far more in common with workers of all nations than you do with the ruling class of your own country, a political and financial elite which often preaches hatred among the same working class people across different cultures and ethnicities. So patriotism without class consciousness feels kind of like not really rooting for your own team, if that makes sense. And second, I'll just let George Carlin rip it.
God bless America? Is that a request? Is that a demand? Is that a suggestion? Politicians say it at the end of every speech, as if it were some sort of verbal tic that they can't get rid of. God does not give a flying fuck about America, okay? He doesn't care. There are 200 countries in the world now. Do these people honestly think that God is sitting around picking out his favorites?
So, a combination of knowing you had no hand in choosing your geography, flag, history, or hymn, and the knowledge that 9 out of 10 times, if you get sent to the front, you'll be shooting other working-class schmucks while the sons of your presidents sit comfortably in Bali, are why it's not exactly surprising when you see leftists cringe and wince at hyper-patriotic, empty gestures.
You mean we're all going to die, Mansley, for our country?
Screw our country! I want to live!
Why we can't find comfort in self-help philosophy or New Age philosophy. This one's more for the liberals out there. Everyone who's ever stumbled or fallen in life knows how hard it can be to find an adequate coping mechanism. While searching for one, many of us, hell, most of us, have had run-ins with what I like to call the two fake deep philosophies out there. One is the self-help military-industrial complex, and the second is ass spiritual enlightenment.
Life. Are we just fleshy blips in some meaningless stew of cosmic oblivion? Or is it vice versa?
Or what I like to call escapism, but made to sound like a coherent school of thought. The first, the self-help category, implies that everything can be solved if only you figure out the puzzle which is the world economy.
Yeah, I'd like to solve the puzzle.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to solve the puzzle.
That's it, yeah.
and use a special cheat code, a special trick nobody else knows except you, to get yourself out of any mess. Only $999.99 a month. Join our seminar and we will teach you more. Or the latter idea, a quasi-spiritual pitch sold to us by conmen who know nothing about metaphysics and yet try to pitch us ideas of internalizing the world. They take beautiful, deep concepts like self-actualization, finding peace within, understanding the subjectivity of experience, and so on, and pitch it as an escapist tool for people who are down on their luck. Don't think about changing your material circumstances. Don't question why you're in this or that situation. Don't revolt. Just pull yourself inwards and imagine and create a world of your own. Live only in it. What happens outside of it matters not. Well, until you get hungry. So, yes, we can't enjoy either of these concepts and ideas, not only because they're commodified beyond recognition, turned into fast-moving consumer goods, but also because of a key philosophical flaw in them, the unrealistic, hyper-individualist perspective that we can and should handle everything on our own. No communities, no systems, no grander social structure. It's just you and your bootstraps. You don't make it, well, your fault.
God, it's the year of the underpaid employee, spitting 40 plus a week and trying to rape Earth in my off time. You boys dizzy, I can't keep myself busy enough so you can run, and I'ma let you think you won.
Why we can't enjoy most of our jobs. This is a big one for me and for most young adults trying to find their place in the global job marketplace. The daily grind for quite a while used to be explained away by internal corporate propaganda, or what they call corporate culture, in almost, well, all industries. Many, to this day, unflinchingly jump at the opportunity to believe it. Understandably so. I mean, being underpaid, overworked, and pushed on the daily are all things humans can swallow, even proudly, but only if you give them a cause to believe in. We're told, this is what we stand for, this is our vision, you're a part of a larger family, this is a place where you can maximize your potential, and so on and so on and so on. All great slogans, but all empty gestures once you understand that no matter what industry, no matter what position, de facto, your boss does not pay you even close to how much you make him. And this resounding, undeniable fact makes all the fancy wording and talk of purpose, family, and a cause sound like pathetic, childish gesturing. The leftists' inability to enjoy most work in this system is caused by their choice to internalize and understand that at the end of the day they're being played, and played hard. Once you know that, only a weakling can go back to lying to themselves. Why we can't enjoy mindless consumption. But okay, you can't enjoy your job, but if it pays relatively well, you should be able to find happiness outside of work, right?
Get in, loser, we're going shopping.
You can buy things, buy experiences, blah, blah, blah. And while sure, there's no denying capitalism's inability to mass produce crazy diverse amounts of, well, stuff, this privilege, too, is unfortunately eventually outgrown. Similar to substance abuse, there is nothing necessarily evil or bad in the substances themselves. But depending on the reason you take them, your experiences will be wildly different. Consumerism is the same. There's no shame in enjoying the little material trinkets we can. But once it becomes a coping mechanism, a way to get our daily, weekly, and monthly fix in order for that little dopamine rush to stop us from thinking about our lack of true self-fulfillment or self-actualization, of, well, finding purpose, then we're no different than an addict, hooked up on a steady supply of Amazon boxes piling up on the front doorstep We try to tell ourselves we're doing great because, well, look at all the stuff we have. And that's exactly why leftists, even though we struggle with it, at the end of the day, can't fully enjoy consumerism because we know that the high of a purchase is followed by the hangover realization that, well, you're still as lost as you were before. You just also have an electric scooter now. The lie that we can find purpose in mindless consumption is the greatest epidemic of our time. So sorry if we can't exactly enjoy it. Well, okay, that was 5, wasn't it? I could go on with even more examples all day, but I'd rather not keep you for much longer. The main pattern between all these examples is simple. The leftist understands that in the current system, be it mindless shopping, the news, chauvinism, job, unfulfillment, or quasi-philosophy, there is a direct struggle between our wants to see the world as what it truly is and constant manipulation trying to steer us away from realizing that. This sort of understanding that all things are ideological and that most things are often far more complicated than what they may seem does lead to us objectively not being able to enjoy quite a lot of things. And while we need to remember that we have only this one life and that it is possible to appreciate problematic shit and engage with it critically, acknowledging its flaws while also finding value in them, we also need to stay firm in our beliefs, no matter how annoying it might be for those who haven't yet come to the same realizations. Remember, please, pick your battles. And most importantly, if everyone was content with everything, we would still be hitting rocks over each other's heads. Your instinct to be critical of the status quo and your drive for more are a gift. Do not lose it. Do not be ashamed of it. Because while ignorance might be bliss, bliss doesn't get anything done. My work would be impossible without the generous support of my patrons. If you would like to support the channel, keep it free of sponsorships or outside influence, please check out the links below. With that being said, I'd like to take a moment to thank all the wonderful supporters without whom this channel would never be able to run.
Con i confini, rotte Vangelo.